Hello. Hi everyone. Sorry I'm a little bit late joining today. Hello, I will just give people a second to join. Give me a wave in the comments or a hi. Tell me how your day is going. How is everyone's day going? I'm interested, genuinely. Hi Xanthia. How has anyone had any positive results from their habits? Has anyone found Trello? I've heard great feedback on Trello. Anyone just feeling great, even if you're feeling miserable? I hate that when people say, "Oh, I'm always feeling great." It's never true. I'm honest, I'm always that I'm miserable. Yes. Hi Sophia. Hi Bhumika. Hi Sonia. Hi Gemma. Hi Alicia. Hi Maisie. Hey everyone. Hi Aisha. Hey guys! I will literally just give people 30 more seconds to join. Dottie has got very excited because I'm saying hi to everyone. No, you said hi yesterday. Sophia, I've smashed my to-do list on Trello. Yes! Get in, Sophia. Excellent. Do you know what I've done? What you did yesterday. I didn't finish everything yesterday. I had one thing left over, so I've had to shuffle it over today. But I've got 2 things left. So I'm feeling great about Trello today. It's my day going good so far. Woke up so early. Yes, good productive days all round. Gemma, loads of sleep last night and went to bed at a reasonable time. Do you know what? That was one of my lessons from uni. I don't function past 11 o'clock at night. Into bed early for me. Trello's been so effective. Thank you. Hi, my day is good. I've done a bit of work and I walked the dog's house. My day was lovely. Thank you for asking, Georgina. We are in the middle of trying to buy a house, so my day is paperwork centric at the moment. But Trello is keeping me on top of things. So thank you for asking. Oh, hello, everyone. So welcome to day 4. I am absolutely psyched for today because it is all about revision and exams. And if you were in year 12, you're probably thinking this is a million miles away for me. It is not. Georgina, I've been using paper clips to count down my tasks. Yes, loving it. Oh, somebody's taken up the paper clips. Love it. So yes, revision and exams. Mocks are a thing, unfortunately. And unfortunately with the COVID thing, mocks are just going to become more important. Schools are taking them more seriously, and that means we need to take them seriously too. And that's a good thing. I'm going to tell you today why that's a good thing. Exams are an unfortunate part of life, and if you are in year 12, you have just missed out on a really important life experience where you got to do your GCSEs. So I'm going to teach you today how we overcome the fact that that first real proper big exam thing got missed off for you. If you're not in year 12 and you're in year 13, this is so relevant for you because you are now on the home straight to those exams. And so this is also going to be massively useful for you. I'm going to give you some tips and tricks for saving time and for building revision in, so that what do you think the likelihood is of doing A-levels this year? I think it's going to happen. I know, do you know what? I've been convinced of this, and then this morning, the Welsh government, so if you're based in the UK, the Welsh government came out and said, no, we think we should cancel exams. I just don't think it will. I think they're going to go ahead just because of the sheer headache that they had this year. But we should prepare just in case they don't. So we should make sure that we're preparing for those mocks, which is what we're going to cover today, so that if, heaven forbid, they got cancelled next year, we are ready and willing to get our predicted grades. We're going to be happy with our mock results. We're going to be like, do you know what? It doesn't matter if we have the real exam or not, because we've been prepared the whole time. But yeah, I do think they're going to go ahead. I do. I hope that they do, because it's really important life experience. Yeah, Maisie, I do too. I really hope they go ahead. It's really important to do those exams. And actually a lot of students, I had some students doing their exams this summer who are in year 13, going off to uni having not done those exams is a really tough jump because they missed the last few months of A-levels. Obviously they stopped covering it because they weren't going to do the exams, and so that's the stuff that really you start at uni. So the jump for them has just been that little bit harder. We are going to build on everything we've done this week to tackle exams, and I have got my own strategy, and I've even given it a name. one day I'll trademark this, I'm sure. This is my little but often strategy. I bang on about this all the time. It is a killer exam strategy, and it sounds mad, but it's going to be a massive time saver. It's going to be a massive reassurance. And if you have a last minute mock, which it happens, teachers are mean, we're inherently evil. If you have a last minute mock, this is going to save your bacon. I was so gutted. I'm with you, Xanthia. I was gutted when the exams were cancelled. I was actually in the middle of a lesson with a year 13 chemistry student when the exams were cancelled this year, and we just put down tools, put the news on, and we were in shock. Her parents came in, her siblings came in, we were just all absolutely stunned. It was pretty traumatic, but we are going to be prepared for whatever happens. Okay, we know that COVID's a thing now, we know that they might get cancelled, and that thing that teachers have always said, take your mock seriously, now matters. So, little but often, I use this not just for exam stuff, but in life. Doing things in such small, infinitesimal doses that you barely notice it is happening. Now, revision, I would say, is about 40% retaining knowledge. So actually learning the content and getting to grips with what you've got to know. 60% is actually know how to apply it to a question. And that is a big, big thing. Sorry, Dottie's just slowly destroying their house behind me. So knowing how to apply that knowledge is also really important. And we're going to cover both. We're going to cover how to revise for both. So let's start with knowing the information, because let's face it, you're doing 3 or 4 subjects now, but you're doing them in an enormous amount of depth. And so there is a lot to know and understand. So how do you retain such a large amount of information? It might be quotes in English, it might be definitions in chemistry. If you're a chemistry student, reaction mechanisms was the biggest headache of my A-level experience. Chemistry was a useless subject for me because I went and did a physics degree, and remembering all those mechanisms was an absolute nightmare. The only way to revise that knowledge is to make it concise. Sum it up. You do not need to learn therefores. Actually, if you're an English student, you might need to learn therefores, but you do not need to write in full sentences. You do not need to write in full notes. You do not need to write beautiful, wonderful essays worth of stuff for revision. Even if you're an English student, even if you're a historian or a drama student, you need to keep it concise. And I'm talking, as stupid as it sounds, revision cards and posters. Why am I talking revision cards and posters? Well, revision cards are perfect if you've got an equation, a definition, a quote, an important date, an important fact, something that is concise, that can be fit in under about 20 words, okay? I had a stack that big for my A-levels. I did 4 science subjects. I did maths, further maths, chemistry, physics. I had a stack of revision cards that big for everything. Absolutely everything. And I used to have them everywhere. I used to have them by the toaster, by the kettle, by my mirror, by the toothbrush in the bathroom, because I would revise constantly, but I would never sit down and revise. I didn't sit down and do a day's revision, other than exam papers, which I'll come on to. I did not sit and revise at all. I just had revision cards dotted around, and I would rotate them in and out all the time. So if you are trying to remember quotes, dates, important facts, chemistry definitions, biology definitions, computing keywords, whatever it is you've got to learn, revision cards are the way to go. Now, the best thing about it is we are going to play to your memory. So when you first learn something, a certain proportion of it goes straight in. But over time, your memory fades and you lose a certain percentage of the information you learnt. So what you're going to do is you're going to learn the information in the lesson, and then at the end of the week, you are going to make a revision card for what you learned that earlier in the week. And so you're going to maybe leave it 2-3 days and you're going to make a revision card about that biology lesson that you had. And some lessons won't have any, and that's fine. And as you go through the year, you're going to build up that stack of revision cards until all the definitions that you need to know, all the key information you need to know is there and ready. And even better than that, as you make those revision cards, you're going to put them around your house so that you can pick them up and learn stuff as you go. So you are constantly refreshing the topics that you did at the start of the year. So by the time you get to May next year, all that stuff is going to be at the front of your mind, because the stuff that you learn in September or the stuff that you learn in year 12, if you're in year 13, is going to be there. Now, if you're in year 12 and you start doing this now, imagine how easy it's going to be in 18 months' time when you are taking those exams and you have got everything at your fingertips. That's going to be epic. You're going to be like, sit down over Easter and revise. Sit down over Easter, do a few past papers, I'm ready to go, job done. It's going to be amazing. So revision cards, honestly, are amazing. And you don't have to do it often. I started off just when I brushed my teeth. I would revise one thing when I brushed my teeth. And then as I got close to the exams and I built up what I was having to learn, I used to have ones for making the tea, and I used to have ones, I even had a little, I'll come on to posters, I even had a little placemat poster that I'd put my meal in front of, and it had all my definitions for a topic that I absolutely hated around the side. I know, it's really sad, but it genuinely works because you're constantly picking up that information. Tiny effort, big effect. So I want you to think now about your subjects. I want you to think about what you've been studying this week. And I want you to think of one thing you could pop down on a revision card right now. We're going to make a revision card right now. It doesn't matter if you haven't got the materials ready. You're going to write it down and you can pop it onto a fancy card later. I'm going to come on to how to make things fancy if you're a visual artistic person. Think of something that you have learned this week that is short, sweet and concise that you could put on a revision card right now. So we're going to start revising in this session. I know I sound mad, but this works. This is how I did the Oxford admissions test. They don't give you the equations in the Oxford admissions test. Like, they give you all the equations now. They didn't give you the equations, so I had to sit and learn all the equations in about 6 weeks. This is how I did it. So if anyone's got admissions tests coming up, this is helpful. Or if you're thinking about them next year for things like BMATs and stuff, this is quite handy. So have a think now. Feel free to share it in the comments. What is your one revision thing that you've got for this week? What's going to go on your revision card? Have a think. Jot it down. I'm obsessed with revision cards. I still do it now. I think that's what Trello is. Trello's just cards, isn't it? It's just concise little piece of information. You could even put them on a Trello board. You could have a biology revision Trello board and sorted by topic. If only I'd had that when I was studying. So revision cards are one way to learn all that knowledge. Now, obviously, not everything can be summarised in under 20 words. So when you've got bigger topics, bigger piece of information, we are going to put it on one side of A4. No more. Absolutely no more. So if you are studying a hefty topic in your subject, so biologists, if you were doing DNA replication, for example, this is going to go on a poster. If you are doing in chemistry reaction mechanisms, poster. If you're looking at key themes in A Streetcar Named Desire, poster. Put it as a diagram, a process, a mind map. Put it as a flowchart. Flowcharts, computing students, you're going to love me for mentioning flowcharts. Posters are where we summarise a meaty, beefy topic. We are not writing out our notes again. We are writing a summary for ourselves. We are putting down the key bits of information. Now, if you've got lovely, beautiful handwriting like Sophia, who when she posts all her amazing notes and to-do lists on the actions this week, I'm literally in awe of how beautiful her handwriting is, then Sophia's posters are going to look instantly awesome. If you're like me and your handwriting is a little more artistic, shall we say, then make them online. There is an amazing free tool out there called Canva. I love Canva. Now, Canva is amazing for making posters because it gives you a template, and all you have to do is put the stuff in, and then you can save it. And it's amazing. You can print them out. You can print them out at school or at home, and you can pop them up, and you can put all that nice, concise information onto a piece of A4. And what I want you to do with the posters is I want you to store them, and I want you to put them up around the house. So I used to have a poster on my mirror, so that when I was blow drying my hair in the morning, I would read something and I would change it every single day. Everyone always compliments Sophia's handwriting. It is beautiful. Put them in places where you are going to need a good read. This sounds really hideous. I used to have revision posters in the shower. I would put one on the tiles on the wall. I did this especially at GCSE. If anyone, you're all too young now to have done medicine through time, they've updated it, but you had to remember all these hideous dates, and I could never get them. So I broke them down into a poster, and I used to read it in the shower every week. I'd rotate it around every week. Who doesn't like to read in the shower? I used to also put my revision posters into a lovely little display folder, and I would have it on our coffee table. So if I was ever watching telly and the adverts came on, or 5 minutes before starting Netflix, I would grab my folder and I'd read a poster. It's about putting that revision and that knowledge into your everyday life. So we're not dedicating any extra time to revision. We're not putting any additional effort in. We are literally finding the tiniest pockets of time in your day to assimilate information. This is not about sitting down for hours and revising. And in fact, if you don't do this and you get to May and you want to sit down for 5 hours and revise, then good luck to you. But that wasn't me. I much preferred feeling like I had that knowledge at my fingertips the entire time. And that way, surprise mock, I already know everything. I don't have to sit the night before and panic. It is all there at my fingertips. This will honestly save you days of effort. So if you are one of those people that writes up notes of things or copies up their notes from class, don't do that. Make a poster of it. Take that reaction mechanism and make it into a beautiful, glorious poster. Make it into a revision card. Use that as your way of summarising what you've learnt, and do it as you go along so that you haven't got to do the big effort right at the end. Now, the application of that knowledge, and this is where most people fall down, okay? It's all right learning everything that you have got to do, but it's then being able to apply it to an unfamiliar exam question. And that's when it gets tricky. Practice questions, practice, practice, practice. It's the only way to turn that wonderful knowledge that you're going to get from all those revision cards and posters into exams. I'm sorry. That doesn't mean you're going to need to sit for hours on end doing exam papers all the time. It really doesn't. But it does mean you're going to need to do some practice here and there. And again, little but often. I would rather you did one question. Okay, English, if you've got like an extended essay, maybe not one question a day, but like one short, succinct question each day, than you sat down for 12 hours and tried to do 4 papers in a row. Just doesn't work. Does not work. I've got a wonderful student. She's really bright. She's very capable. Every time I set her a past paper, she tries to do 3 in a row, and the last one is always shocking, because she gets too tired and she doesn't know when to take a break. So it's about knowing, again, it's about working smart and knowing your limitations. So what resources are available to you to practice applying that knowledge? Exercises in your textbook. Most of you will, like me, probably hate your textbook with a passion. I definitely did. But the practice exercises, I don't just mean the stupid arbitrary questions that you get on like every other page. I mean like the end of topic tests or the practice paper at the back of the book. Those are really good for reinforcing your knowledge. Now, if you've got any mathematicians in the group, if you have any symbols in your book for when it's a past exam question, do those ones, because those will be like the ones you actually get in the exam. The other ones, waste of time. Unless you're struggling with a topic, they're just a massive waste of time because you're not going to face a question like that in the exam. Luckily, most textbooks also come with answers, which is a win. And if they don't, a quick Google, you can probably find someone's uploaded the PDF of the answers. So then you can double check you're working. Past exam papers. Now, you are unfortunate in some respects in that the A-levels were remodified a couple of years ago. So you don't have an infinite amount of past papers available, but I would recommend saving past papers until you are in year 13 ready to go ahead with the exams, because then you can do them in exam conditions and you can practice the timing for those exams. However, old specification papers are completely still relevant. I've written this in caps in my notes. Do not be afraid of using old specification papers. These old spec papers are massively, massively useful. They have a huge amount of overlap with your current spec, and there are decades worth of exam questions. My favourite trick in my lessons with my A-level students is to give them the papers I sat from 2012. You can probably age me now. Give them the papers I sat from 2012 when I finished my A-levels and see how they do. I'm mean, I know. These past old spec papers can be done as you go because you can just pick out questions. That way, if there's something that's not relevant to what you're doing now, you can ignore it. So you can go back in and go, oh, well, that isn't about what we've studied, but that question is. I'll have a go at that one. Keep it simple and don't set yourself too much work in one go. So I'd be really interested to hear what you currently do to revise. So if you currently have a revision method that works really well for you, or perhaps doesn't work, drop it in the comments. I'm going to be really intrigued to know what you all currently do as your revision. What is your revision? Maybe you don't revise at the moment. Maybe that's the problem. What is your current revision? Just using that as an excuse to sip my tea, to be honest. No, it is leading somewhere, I promise. What is your current revision? Share it in the comments for me. What do you currently do to revise? I think there's a bit of time lag on the comments as well, so I'll give it a second. What is your current revision method? Let me know. I never really revise. I crammed for all my GCSEs the night before and didn't revise for my mocks at all. Okay, excellent, Gemma. I love the honesty there. I've always used revision cue cards, also mind maps and notes from other YouTube videos to help. Often this takes a long time, but I'm scared to drop them out. So Sophia, excellent point. You're scared to drop a method that might be taking you a lot of time. We're going to talk about adapting that method rather than dropping it completely. Xanthia, I make mind maps and revision cards. I find the mind maps more effective for me, but I used to sit down and rewrite all my notes again. Yeah, such a waste of time. Such a waste of time. I did that. I used to rewrite my notes out, and then I realised after about 2 weeks I never looked at them again. Such a massive waste of time. It's much better to summarise it in a mind map or a revision card. I usually revise when I feel the need to. This does not work in the slightest. Yeah. Exactly. Doing questions, making cue cards, practice question at the end of topic, fact sheet. Oh, I love that, Maisie. A fact sheet. Perfect. Learn the content with flashcards and then spend double the amount I took to learn content on past papers. I have a recurring task to do a set of flashcards. Yes, amazing, Georgina. Awesome. Yes, perfect. So I now want you to think about your revision technique, and I want you to think if there's one thing you would change. Now, Xanthia, I don't think you should drop anything. I think you should adapt something. I think that if you're worried about changing how you revise, have a think about what you could adapt. And I want you to write down right now, how are you going to revise from this point on? From today, how are you going to revise? Are you going to take Georgina's lead and every couple of days you're going to make some flashcards? Are you going to, instead of writing notes and things from YouTube videos, maybe instead of it taking ages and ages, you're much more picky about when you do that? Maybe you look at past exam papers and go, that topic doesn't seem to come up a lot, so maybe I'll just pop it on like a half a page of A4 and then be done with it, because I probably don't need it all that often. Because isn't that sometimes the trick, knowing what's going to come up in the exam? Sometimes I feel like rewriting your notes just makes you feel productive. Yeah, so true. It's such a, I've written 3 pages of notes. I don't remember anything that they said, but I feel like I've done something. Yes, Xanthia, for essay subjects, 100% practice the planning rather than doing the question. But also don't forget to do the questions. So for essay-based subjects, I had a friend who did history and politics, actually, as 2 A-levels. And they would spend, their revision would be they'd do a plan, and then every 4th or 5th plan, they'd turn that into the full question. And they'd use that to practice the timing. And they'd also time their planning so they could make sure they could get it nice and quick in the exam. So this is all about training ourselves to kind of get a bit quicker. So I want you to think about how you are going to revise from this point on. If you're somebody that doesn't, maybe you're just going to do some revision, but what is that going to look like? Feel free to share with me in the comments from this point on, what is your revision going to look like? But write it down for yourself, because by writing it down for ourselves, we are setting that intention. We are telling ourselves, from this day on, I'm going to make revision cards every other day. From this day on, I'm going to revise at the end of a week. From this day on, I'm going to do a practice question at the end of every day. Have a think. Sonia, great question. For science, we have separate neat notebooks. Are we supposed to copy the lesson notes up? Oh, what a hideous policy. Oh, that I would be up in arms. I would be rebelling, but that's just me. Sometimes I add to my notes from other resources like the internet or textbooks. Okay. So, Sonia, what I wanted you to do in that situation is to make those notes work for you. You are going to make them so that you refer back to them. And so what I think you should do, if you wanted my advice, is instead of adding to them from the internet and stuff is great, but make them so you could go back and see that topic at a glance, see that lesson and assimilate it in under 2 minutes. So turn those notes into bullet points or a flowchart or, just some really clear every other line sentences that are really concise and work for you. And if a teacher protests against that, send them my way, because I love a good battle about pointless task. Xanthia, definitely going to prioritise mind maps and posters. Yes, it's about trial and error sometimes and finding the thing that works for you. Some people love mind maps, I just don't get on with them, but that's just me. They work brilliantly for other people, but that's just my personal thing. I'll come home and make the revision card for the lessons I've had that day, so that when an end of topic test comes up, perfect. Yes. Awesome. And what I'd love to see, Sophia, is you using those revision cards every day. So the minute you make them, don't put them on the desk, don't leave them, integrate them into your day, integrate them into those tiny pockets of time where you can pick them up. It's about putting the 30 seconds or the 2 minutes of effort in to see the big reward 3 weeks down the line when that mock test comes up. So if you're travelling home on the bus and you set your intention statement earlier in the week to look at your Trello to-do list, maybe after doing that, use that to trigger a new good habit. I'm going to look at a revision card. 2 birds, 1 stone, maybe 2 minutes of effort. Save you so much time in the future. No more copying out notes, only making flashcards and visual posters. Try to combine 3 words in one then. Yes, Alicia, awesome, excellent, I love it. So the important thing is that we're going to integrate that revision into our everyday lives. We're going to make our revision work for us. So we're going to stop copying out notes. We're going to start summarising things. We're going to go in there knowing we are going to revise regularly in a way that works for us. And actually that's really important. It's really, really important that we revise in a way that works for us and our brains. Some people are massively visual and other people aren't. I had a friend who had to make up a song for everything. She was a music student. Every other subject she made up a song about the topic so that she could remember it, because that's how her brain worked. Sophia, my psychology, came up with Retrieval Roulette, which is a document full of 900 odd questions. Yeah, that's brilliant. That's amazing. I love that. Where can you find past questions and resources without putting loads of effort in? Well, every exam board has current spec and old spec past papers available. Have a look at what else is out there free. So TES is a website for teachers, but there are so many free resources on there that there is no reason as a student you can't get hold of. There are, if you're a maths or science student, there are things like Maths Made Easy or Physics and Maths Tutor. They're well worth a look for some practice questions. If you are struggling to find practice questions, let me know, because I have literally millions of questions and resources. So I will be able to either help you or point you in the right direction. Okay, so we've now revised. Now we're going to focus on the actual exam. Now, again, if you're in year 13, Physics and Maths Tutor is epic. I love Physics and Maths Tutor. Oh, Aisha, how do you summarise without missing out key content? So when I say summarise, what I mean is you don't need all the fluff. So you're not going to be asked in an exam for all the kind of peripheral information. You need to know the key concepts. So it's about working out, in that lesson there was a lot of content. What is it I really need to know? And it can be really hard to work that out. Look at a past paper or two. Look at what regularly comes up. What are they asking questions on? And what are the style of the questions? It's really, really important that you kind of get a feel for what is essential to know and what kind of is lovely to know but really isn't going to come up in the exam. And past papers are the way to go for that. But if you have any questions about that, I will happily give subject-specific help on that as best as I can. I only teach like 6 subjects. I'm sure I can cover most of what some of you do. How reliable are other websites though, like Tutor2U? They follow the spec but not as comprehensively as some of the other sites that I use. So they're pretty good, and they're a good starting point. So yes, I would, Tutor2U is great as a starting point, but I wouldn't rely solely on it, if that makes sense, Sophia. Awesome. So we're now approaching the exam, and this is where we are going to use our habits to train our brains. So you'll remember I talked about listening to the same song on repeat on the way to my exam. I in fact had the same routine for every single A-level exam, and I was back in the days when they were modular and we had them in January and in June. So I had for about 2.5 years, because I had a weird thing with maths where I did something early. Anyway, for about 2.5 years, I had exactly the same exam routine. I used to get up in the morning and have the same breakfast. I used to wear the same shoes. I used to put my headphones on, my song on. I would take the same route from my house to the school. When I got to the school, I would turn my music off and I would put it in my favourite teacher's classroom, because Jill was a legend and she would let me store my stuff in her classroom. I would get my revision cards out and I would revise, and I would not talk to a soul. I was very rude. I was in my zone. And as I entered the exam, my revision cards for the things that I was panicking over at the last minute, they went in the bin and I went in the exam. And you're going to think I sound like a psychopath. And that's absolutely fine, because it worked for me. And it works for elite athletes and musicians and performers and public speakers and politicians and anyone who has to be in a high pressure situation. You'll remember I talked about habits, and I talked about habits in focus and comparisonitis, and we talked about Michael Phelps. The other thing Michael Phelps attributed to his success is he did the same routine for every single competition. He would put his swim cap on at exactly the same time before the race. He would eat the same food. He would do the same warm-ups. He would go through all the same motions, whether he was in a tiny competition with 3 other swimmers or if he was at the Olympics. And by doing that, he got his game face on. It put him in that zone. And it's by training your brain by doing that through mocks that is going to allow you to get in the zone when you do your real exam. Now, I know that mocks aren't the same and they're usually in the middle of school and blah, 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 but it's about getting some little things into your routine to say, this is it. I'm stepping up now. We are going to train our brains to step up when we need them to. Not only that, this keeps nerves under control, because there is nothing worse than panic for getting your brain to work. Nerves give you adrenaline, and adrenaline is what we want to feed off. That is going to carry you through the exam, but we don't want it to get to the point where we're in the middle of the exam and we go, I cannot physically remember the subject I'm sitting, or my name, or what day it is, and I can't remember how to write. And the reason I had a routine is that happened to me. In the middle of exam, I just blanked. I got really stressed and really overwhelmed, and I just completely blanked out in a GCSE exam. And I managed to pull it back just, but I was like, never again. And when I researched what to do, it's all about getting yourself under control. And in high pressure situations, it's really, really important that you build in a routine to get yourself under control and to manage that stress. Now, everyone's routine is going to be different. It doesn't have to be as psychopathic as mine and having the same breakfast and putting on the same shoes and whatever. But it's the reason that sports people have lucky socks. It's the reason that performers have things that they request for their dressing rooms. It's because it's a habit, it's a routine, it's familiar. And it's a trigger for their brain to go, I am now in the zone. So maybe it's a specific pen you have in your pencil case. Maybe it's a specific song or a specific action or a specific phrase that you say to yourself. But next time you're preparing for a mock, I want you to really think about the things you're doing to enable yourself to be successful. Even basic things like making sure the night before an exam you have a set bedtime, you have a set wake-up time, and you have a decent breakfast. Because all those things are going to help you. And by building them into a routine, it's going to be that much easier when you actually need it. Now, the final thing, so I'm aware I've talked a lot. I did that during GCSEs. I wore the same lucky necklace. Yes, amazing. Amazing. I love that, Gemma. See, it's not just me. I'm not totally crazy. We're in the exam now. We've done our routine. We've got our game face on. We are ready to sit that exam. We are in the exam room. How do we tackle an exam paper? Nobody ever teaches you that, do they? How do you tackle an exam paper? The answer is in the way that suits you. There is no rule that says you have to start at question 1 and go through to the end in that order. There's absolutely no rule that says that. So find a method that works for you, and unfortunately the only way to do this is trial and error. For me, I hate multiple choice questions. If any of you ever have a lesson with me, you will understand that I have a loathing of multiple choice questions. Other people love them, I just can't get on with them. For me, I think it's the thing of having options. I'm just not very good with going, I don't know. And if I've got any physicists here, and if, in my physics papers when I did them, the physics multiple choice questions were always at the front, and they were only worth 1 mark each, and there were about 10 of them. And I used to just immediately skip them, because my logic was, I can't guess a 3 mark question down the road, but I can guess whether question 1 is A, B, C or D, because I can just fill 1 in at the end if I have to. That was my exam strategy. Yours might be totally different, but I want you to find one. If there is a question that you know that if it comes up in that paper you are going to ace, get it done. Especially if time is an issue. If you are one of those people that goes, I need to get the 6 mark extended writing question out the way, do it. Get it done. If you're one of those people that's like, I really suck at graphs, but I love algebra, do the algebra questions first. Get them out the way. And then spend your time focusing on the things where you're hoping to pick up more marks. But make sure you get done the stuff that really is your jam. I love that phrasing, is your jam. Focus on the bits of the exam that are yours, that your niche, that make you light up, that make you go, yes, if that question comes up, I am going to smash this. That should be your strategy for the exam, and it's about finding how you do that works for you. Yes, so much effort for 1 mark. I feel as though I'm too strict on routines. Like I have brushing my teeth just before I leave, but if I do that at any point in the morning, I feel like it's bad luck and my day will go wrong. I totally get it, Sophia. I totally get it. I'm the same. I think it's just some of us are just a bit special, and that's lovely. And I don't care if anyone wants to judge me for that. So I'm exactly the same. I'm with you, Sophia. Now, exams, I'm going to reiterate, are all about taking what you know and applying it to an unfamiliar situation, which is why practice is key. It's going to help with timing, it's going to help with knowledge, and it's going to help you to find your exam strategy. It will take trial and error, you will get it wrong, but that's what practice papers and mocks are for. Now, when you mark your practice papers in revision, be harsh on yourself. Don't be unnecessarily harsh. Don't go, oh, I got the wrong answer, I won't give myself any marks. But be harsh enough to go, well, actually, I knew what I meant, but an examiner might not. So make sure that you're being really, really respectful of yourself. Don't be lenient, because an examiner's probably not going to be lenient either. And my final prayer to you all is, please read the question. I know it sounds obvious, but you would not believe the number of times I have students go, oh, is that what it was asking? I didn't bother reading the question, I just guessed what it was asking me. That is not an exam strategy. Okay, I know that reading takes time and effort, but please, these exams are important. Even if it's a mock, just read the question. I'm begging you. It's such a silly mistake to lose precious marks for going, oh, I skimmed the question and I saw the numbers 12 and 6, and so I thought the answer was 2. Why? That strategy might work 1 in 100 times, but just read the question. Give me a wave if you're a serial non-question reader in the comments. I won't judge you. I won't be mean, because most of the students I work with don't read the question, but please just read the question. It's really important. The questions are often worded very specifically for a reason, and there also might be a subtle hint or clue in there about what you're supposed to do, so please read the question. Skimming is my worst habit. Yeah, so Sophia, that's where you need to get your exam strategy in. If time is an issue, it's about flitting to that question. That's my starting point. And again, it's that getting started thing. There's nothing worse than the front of an exam paper. And I know question 1 is like, okay, I can get started there. But everyone thinks question 1 is the easiest, and it isn't always. Yeah, we've got some serial non-question readers in here. I lost about half the marks in my chemistry mock because I didn't read the questions. I know it takes time, but it's going to save you so much time if you answer the question that's written, then if you get halfway through and realise you're answering a different question that is not the one they've asked you. So I want you to take that away as a resolution to read the question. Write it down. If you are a serial, not non-question reader, write it down. Sophia, I'm not able to write really fast-paced without my handwriting being not readable. So that is something to practice. If you are doing essay-based A-levels, practice writing the answer in a time and drill it. 10 minutes every day. 10 minutes, just write an answer to a question and get quicker. Because if you do it now, in 6 months' time, you'll be infinitely quicker. I mean it, drill it. It's how I got my husband to pass his university exams with the worst handwriting I have ever seen. I take 2 essay subjects and I always feel rushed as I did at GCSE, so I always misread the question and write about the complete wrong thing. Yeah, it's hard when you're rushing, but what I used to do, again I'm going to sound mad, is I used to turn the question, deep breath, and it literally a split second, and it just pauses you from running through the exam at 1,000,000 miles an hour. It's so important because you're going to waste 15-20 minutes answering a question. Even in a science exam, you might waste 15-20 minutes answering a question that frankly is not what you're being asked. So read the question. Definitely read the question. So thank you all to everyone who has submitted their actions this week. Today is the final action. So if you haven't done the ones for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you will not be in with a chance of winning that amazing prize worth over £120 at the end of the week. It is epic. I've put so much time and effort into thinking of this, so you will want to enter. Plus, you don't get a lovely comment back from me if you don't submit an action. So definitely worth doing. Now, your action for today is I would like you to make a revision card or poster. I want you to take one thing that you are learning about this week and I want you to summarise it for me. And then I want you to take a photo or a screenshot and pop it on the action. You've got until 3 p.m. tomorrow to submit all your actions for this week, because in tomorrow's call I'm going to announce the winner of the competition. So get them on there. Plus, it's great to kind of see what everyone else is doing and celebrate everyone's wins and everyone's success. It's absolutely amazing. So I'm going to pause now for questions while I'm waiting for those to come through, because there's a bit of a lag, probably my rubbish Wi-Fi. But while there is a lag, submit your questions. And tomorrow is going to be my favourite session of all week, because we are talking about fun. Yes. After 4 days of studying, we're talking about fun. No, we're talking about maintaining a positive work-life balance. So we're talking about how to factor in enjoyment, relaxation, de-stressing, and all those amazing things that you feel like you don't have time for. We're going to talk about how to fit them in and why it's important to fit them in. So we are going to be looking at how to relax and have fun tomorrow. If anyone is in the middle of uni applications or preparing for uni interviews, this is also going to be massively relevant, because showing how well-rounded you are and that you have control of your work-life balance is a massive tick for universities. So that's going to be super relevant for you as well. So submit any questions on exams, on revision, on anything we've covered this week or anything else that's burning away at you, and I will do my best to answer. Sophia, with 16 markers in psychology, I lose about 5 minutes just trying to think about how to start the essay off. It's always the hardest part that loses me time. Yeah. I know exactly what you're suffering through. The way I cope with the big extended mark questions where I didn't know what to do is I would literally down the side of the page bullet point anything I could remotely think of that's connected to it, even if it's just a rhyming word. I would literally just start, I call it a brain splurge, just kind of chucking anything that my brain can remotely come up with down the side of the page. And I used to find at some point my brain went, yep, okay, that's it, got it, off we go. But yeah, it is just, unfortunately, it is about practice and training our brains to look after us, and get ourselves ready in the exams. So if anyone's got any questions, please pop them in the comments, because otherwise I will let you all go a few minutes early, and I will await with excitement us talking all about work-life balance tomorrow, because we've spent 4 days talking about really packing our lives with studying and really getting down into the nitty-gritty of exams and time management and organisation and everything like that. So we're going to talk about how to release and take away some of that stress. I know that some of you said about burnout earlier in the week. We are going to talk about how to prevent and avoid burnout. What do you think the minimum amount of time you should leave before starting to revise is? As sometimes I don't have the motivation to, I know the assessment is around the corner. I honestly am an advocate of continuous revision. On your to-do list every week, and it's one of those tasks that you'll probably think, oh, I'll just shuffle that to the next week. Every week I would do 10 minutes, and it doesn't need to be more. And I wouldn't sit down and revise. I would literally cram it in to, on a Sunday morning when I'm making breakfast, I'll quickly do a bit of revision. I genuinely, for 2 years, I did not sit down and revise once, other than doing past papers. All my revision was on the go, constantly. Walking to school, lunch break, shower, brushing my hair. I know that sounds sad. I always seem to get the mechanisms in chemistry wrong. Is there a specific way to learn then you would recommend? So Gemma, I had an enormous A3 mechanisms poster in my bedroom for about 6 months when I was studying for A-levels. I will drop you a version of a mechanisms poster, and I would cover up, my revision would be, so first of all making the poster, and then occasionally I would cover up one of them and go, how do I go from this to this? What's the mechanism? And I would draw it out and I'd check that I'm right. I'd cover it up and go, what's that mechanism? And eventually I would get it wrong for the first 100 times. And then eventually I would start to get it right. Let's say you had to leave the house for 7:30. When do you recommend sleeping and waking up the day before an exam? Entirely depends on how long you take to get ready in the morning. I don't take very long to get ready, mainly because I don't wear makeup and I literally do nothing with my hair because I just don't. I'm just can't be bothered. So I would recommend that you get 8 hours sleep. 8 hours is a really decent, maybe even 8.5. If you were a morning person, then feel free to wake up a little bit early, do a tiny bit of revision, have a decent breakfast. If you're not, then leave it a little bit later, and wake up a little bit later. But Bhumika, I would say the most important thing is sleeping for 8 to 8.5 hours that night before the exam. You want a really decent amount of sleep, and I would suggest switching off the screens a good hour before bed that night, because that way you're going to get really decent sleep that evening. Yeah, Gemma, no problem. I will pop you in a mechanisms. If there's any other chemistry students, you're welcome to have the mechanisms poster outline. Super fun stuff. So yeah, get a good night's sleep. So screens off, nice and relaxing. We spoke the other day about making your desk comfortable. How do you suggest to making your workspace more inviting? Excellent question, Sophia. So making your workspace more inviting. Put something there that you really love or really enjoy. I was going to say put chocolate, but I feel like I'm advocating eating a lot of sugar this week. I drink a hell of a lot of coffee and tea, so I'd always make a fresh cup of tea and pop that there, and then obviously I'm going to gravitate towards where that is. But yeah, make sure you've got stuff that you like around you at your desk, not distractions, but make it really lovely. Like if you're one of those people that's got like really lovely house plants or like really nice pictures. I've also got some really lovely like postcards around my desk, so that I can kind of feel really homely. I also really like working with a candle being lit, so that's really nice. So it's really hot in here. I'm going really red. I look like a tomato. So yeah, I would suggest just making it. Also, top tip, Sophia. Whatever your first thing to do is, if you know what it is, put it there and put it already open. Leave it already open. If you know you've got to revise, I don't know, or do a past paper or do a particular essay when you come in, leave a material or a post-it note for yourself ready to go. I also used to leave myself nice little messages like, hello future Natalie, here's what you're going to do, with like a little smiley face. But leave something there to kind of prompt you to sit down and read it and get going. That would be my advice. In biology, for some application questions, I end up losing marks because of the keyword in the question, and I didn't write absolutely relevant information. Aside from practice, are there any other things you could do? That is a really good question, Sonia. I would say that is about reading the word in the question and knowing what to kind of put down in order to answer it. So practice is going to really help you there. And I would say whenever you get one of those wrong, whenever you lose marks in one of those questions, put it on a revision card. You know, if the question is about a particular topic and you didn't quite hit the spot, pop down what you needed to put onto a revision card. Because although the same question never comes up twice, they kind of do. They're just always reworded in a slightly weird way. So I would use the experience of not getting the marks you want to kind of get them in the future. Also, when you are reading a question, if you're struggling with that, think about what they are looking for. It's not always necessarily what is the answer to this question. It's what are they looking for? What are they going to be looking for in my answer? What are they going to be marking against? And using that to kind of go, well, I'm going to drop in that key phrase and I'm going to drop in that word and I'm going to add that in. See if that helps. Sophia, I always find myself focusing on one subject more than the other, as my favourite subject always fluctuates depending on the topic. This always leads to me leaving out revising content. Like, how do you get over revising such an ugly topic? Yeah, I know what you mean, Sophia. I know exactly what you mean. I can think of a few topics in the past that I've 100% had to do this. I did a physics degree and optics, oh, hideous topic. Anyway, I would make a sandwich, not an actual one, a revision sandwich. I would do 5 minutes of the thing I liked. I would then do 10 minutes of the thing I didn't like, and then 5 minutes of the thing I did again. Or you can change the times accordingly. But get yourself going, because that's the first thing. So get yourself going on something easy. Set a timer so you don't overrun. Then go, okay, that's now my trigger to do this one. And tell yourself why you're doing it. Say it out loud. I'm revising this because it's a hideous topic and I hate it, which means it's even more important that I go through it. Tell yourself why you are doing this topic that you hate. I'm doing this topic so I can get it out the way, I can get the revision done, and then I don't have to do it again for another couple of weeks. And then finish it off with something nice again. It's called people do it as feedback as well. It's called the feedback sandwich. But yeah, I would pick something lovely and then do something you are absolutely dreading. But before doing it, I do this as well. I sound mad at home. I tell Dottie, I go, Dottie, I'm about to do this because I really need to do it. Accounts. I hate accounts. I'm going to do my accounts because I really need to. They're really irritating. But if I do it now, I'll have it done and then I'm going to do something lovely afterwards. So that would be my advice. I really struggle to revise the topics I find hard and always keep going back to the easy topics. For music, I tend to just listen to the set pieces and then feel like I've done some revision, and really that isn't actually going to be as useful. Yeah, I know what you mean, Xanthia. It is really hard. It is really, really hard. And it is about telling yourself, I've got to do this. And I know that sometimes when you're tired and you've got a million and one things to do, it's the last thing you want. But set yourself up for success. Set the right environment, get something lovely to eat ready for afterwards, get yourself a warm drink or a blanket, get yourself in a really lovely environment, and then just sit yourself up straight with intention. I'm going to do my music theory work, and off you go. Sorry, I didn't do music A level. I have no idea. I've got another tutor that works for me that does music A level. She's amazing, but I genuinely have next to no idea on music. I'm musically horrifically talented. Set yourself up for success. Get yourself a lovely working environment. Get something lovely for when you're done. Sit up straight with intent and get going. I used to do this. I used to hate certain meetings at work, and my boss at the time said, Natalie, before that thing you don't want to do, I want you to go and take 10 minutes in the bathroom. I want you to give yourself a talking to, and I want you to put your big girl pants on, because you have to do things you don't like to do in life. And so I'd go into the bathroom, I would puff myself up in the mirror and go, right, I'm going to do this, because if I do it, I don't have to do it again. And then I would get myself. Do proper music revision tonight, otherwise you can't have Chinese for dinner. I love that, Sophia. You two are going to make excellent accountability partners for each other. I love this sibling accountability. Any other questions? I'm aware we have been going for quite a while and I'm turning into a tomato. I don't know why it's really hot in here. Has anyone got any questions? Got it on Trello for tomorrow and Saturday. Any other questions, revision or otherwise based? Drop them in the comments now. Otherwise, tomorrow is all about positive work-life balance. It's all about allowing some time to have some fun, whatever fun looks like for you, and why that is not only super important for our health, it's super important to not burn out, but it's also going to look really amazing to a university application panel or to a job interview panel or to anyone else. So any last minute burning questions? Otherwise, I will say goodbye for today. Thank you so much for joining. If you have a burning question that didn't come out in the call, always feel free to pop it in the Facebook group. I will always be happy to help. But otherwise, you all have a fabulous day. Thank you for joining. Don't forget to post your revision cards and posters on the action to enter the competition. And I will see you for what is going to be our final session tomorrow. I'll try not to cry. I'm very emotional. It's been an absolute blast. So have a wonderful day, everyone, and I will see you then. Bye, guys. Bye.